Right, guys, will we get a pre-patch? I mean, I would have thought so. I can't see him releasing TBC and not having that period of pre-patch that we're all used to. So I just want to go over the main things that we'll expect to see, basically, in a pre-patch. I'm not going to go into mass amounts of detail. I'm just going to give you an overview. Obviously, I'll touch on some class changes, obviously general changes, systems that were added, all the things, what are you going to expect? But at the same time, there is quite an intricate list of bug fixes and, known issues in the pre-patch, which I would be here all day. So I'm going to leave those off. But starting at number one, what I think is quite cool is the PvP system overhaul. Obviously, if we didn't talk about the PvP system overhaul, then I'd be doing something wrong. So we've basically been given arenas, all right? Now, you're going to be able to do these at level 60, I would assume. We used to be able to do them at 60 in the original game. So you're going to have 2s, 3s, and 5 skirmishes that, yes, you can actually do at level 60, and there'll be 2 different arenas that are released. Now, this is quite exciting for anyone who likes PvP, even though the balance is probably not going to be great, you know what I mean? Because, you're level 60 with level 70 talents, there's going to be balancing issues, but it will be a bit of fun. It'll be something to do for a few weeks while you're actually waiting for the Dark Portal to open. So, I think it's going to be pretty cool. You're obviously also going to be able to use your whatever max rank title that you've achieved. So if you're a Grand Marshal now, but you've dropped down to Knight, because you're not actively PvPing, you will be able to display your maximum rank that you gained. So you get your Grand Marshal title back, which is obviously very nice. The other things that you're going to get in PvP is obviously honor is now a currency. So it's something that you'll physically spend when you earn it. So on items, you'll need marks from the battlegrounds that go with it as well. So, you might need 30 marks from Warsong Gulch, as well as a chunk of honor and conquest points, which conquest points obviously you won't be getting, and you won't really be getting any rewards from doing the arenas, obviously, because there's no season that started. It is just purely skirmishes and purely just for fun, but still really cool. There's been some balancing in PvP as well, so probably the most notable one, I might as well mention it while we're talking about arenas anyway, is CC. So the fact that now it can only any CC will be a maximum of 12 seconds, but there's also pulsing. So if you imagine if you're feared at the moment in Classic, it's awful, but if you're feared in TBC, or in the pre-patch, we should say, then it's got a maximum duration of 12 seconds, but it occasionally pulses to check for a resist as well. So it could technically break after a couple of seconds, or it could go the full 12 seconds if you're lucky, or if the target's got no shadow resist. So, something else worth bearing in mind, basically, because it is just a nice sort of quality of life PvP change, and really makes setting up those sort of chain CCs even more important, obviously due to diminishing returns and everything, but obviously we'll cover that a lot later in a really PvP centric episode, if you like, video where we actually talk about arena comps and everything. That's coming soon. If you're wondering why I'm talking so fast, there's just so much to try and cover, and obviously I don't want you sat here getting bored listening to bits that you don't want to. So the next thing that's pretty cool is the looking for group tool. So now this is not looking for dungeon. This is not what comes in later where you're just automatically matched to people. As you can see now, it's quite basic, but it's a nice way to queue yourself, people who are also looking for more. So it's LFG or LFM. So people who are looking for more will be able to find you, and you've listed yourself as whatever you might even knowing the way the world's going to go, or the world of Warcraft's going to go. Gear score's probably going to be in TBC, some form of add-on for gear score. So you'll probably be putting your gear score as a note. People will see your 2.2k, you'll get invited to the group. And likewise, if you're looking for a group, you can see the groups that are listed and what they need. They might need a healer, they might need a tank. So it's just a nice way, without spamming in like a looking for more channel or a global channel. It's a nice way to form groups and find people if you're trying to start a group and you're missing people. Now, the one that gets brought up on Twitch quite a lot, and by the way, I stream over on Twitch, Scottejaye87. Actually, you can see it over there. So yeah, come over and give us a follow. Obviously, we're TBC discussions are just going on all the time. People coming in from YouTube, asking questions and stuff. And obviously, if you enjoy this video, make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff to keep the channel growing, which, it's growing at a phenomenal rate. Absolutely love you guys. Thank you for your support. It's brilliant to see. But an interesting one, the AoE cap. So, as you know, in TBC, mage AoE boosting, dungeon farming, whatever you want to call it, is going to be dead, because there is an AoE cap to the amount of targets you hit to how much damage it does. Now, that's why paladins take over as like the god mode default boosters, because obviously consecrate doesn't suffer that penalty. But it wasn't actually introduced until 2.2. So if we're going in a 2.4.3, which is the maximum patch, you know, the way we went into a 1.12 client in Classic, if we go in at 2.4.3, those class balancing and overall balance design will probably be implemented in the game already. Now, if they're not, that means boosting will still be on the table for mages all the way up until 2.2, whatever phase that would happen to come into. And the reason I think they'll get rid of that is because they probably don't really want mages boosting, and especially when there's going to be shamans and paladins, you know, blood elves, Draenei's. The boosting, it's going to ruin the experience. Well, I wouldn't say it'd ruin the experience because I hate questing. I'd love mage boosting all the way on a shaman from 1 to 60. But, you know, it's just something worth bearing in mind. Yes, the AoE cap does come in, but not till 2.2. If it's part of the balancing design of a 2.4.3 client, then it probably will be in, maybe not the pre-patch, but definitely when, obviously, the actual Dark Portal opens and there's that transition of patch between pre-patch and the main patch. But who knows? We might not even see a pre-patch. We might literally just go straight from Classic to a 2.4.3 client and the Dark Portal opens. You know, we don't know. Likewise, could be 2.0. Could be a 2.0 itemization and we progressively work our way through the patches, which I'd quite like. I mean, I would probably prefer the balance in a 2.4.3, if I'm honest. But if it was 2.0 and we went through progressively, I could see that working as well. In which case, some things like the AoE cap are just not going to be there. Another cool thing in the pre-patch, no, it's not really worth getting that excited about, but the summoning stones that you find outside dungeons, they now work like a warlock portal. The only thing you've got to be mindful of, they are sort of level dependent. So to actually initiate the summon, you need to be of the range of that dungeon. So if you're level 60 outside Scarlet Monastery, you won't be able to start the summon. But if there's a level 35 there, he can start the summon, the level 60 can assist. So you still, it's not going to be, like, it's not going to eliminate the need for having your level 20 warlocks darted all over the place, you know, because you still will need someone in the appropriate level range of that dungeon to actually start, you know, the initial summon from the stone. But it's good. They should have been active in Classic, let's be fair, because they're just there. They're just part of the furniture outside of a dungeon. Pretty pointless. Oh, and the key ring's been made bigger because we're going to need more keys. Yeah, so I've really listed those as my top ones. There's some really good changes that we're still going to go over now, but I think those ones are the ones that sort of resonate with me the most, because some of the changes we're about to go over, like, directly don't affect me. So we'll start with the hunters, for example. So now your hunter's pet, you know, gets 15% of the master. So you know, you as the master of, like, your armor, your attack power, your spell damage, your resistances, your stamina. So obviously it starts to make pets more relevant again, because as you know, in sort of all full BIS gear in Classic, like vanilla Classic, you know, the pets are fairly weak because they're just normalized, if you like. Whereas now they start to get more and more powerful, the more powerful you get, which is obviously very nice, a welcome change, I'm sure, for all you hunters. The other one, I'm laughing before I even say it, you get your talents reset. Woo! I mean, it's not really that exciting, is it? But yeah, so because you've got all your level 70 talents now, obviously they get reset, so you can spend all your points wherever you want. Maybe you want to get Avenger's Shield as a prop paladin. You know, maybe you want to get your tree form. You want to be a life bloomless resto tree druid. Seems a bit strange, but it's going to be an awkward transition period in this pre-patch, I tell you. And then a fairly pointless change. And when I say fairly pointless, don't shoot me down, but they changed the spell coefficients. So basically, they've tried to kill down ranking. They failed miserably, because you will still be down ranking all throughout TBC. But yeah, they reduced the amount. So if you're max level casting lower rank spells, you gain less either spell power or less healing power. But every healer in the game will be down ranking, probably all the way up till tier 6, and even through tier 6 I would be down ranking still. So it's a pointless change, but you know, I think they tried to stop down ranking altogether and force you to use max rank, but that didn't work. But around spell coefficients as well, they've also buffed the amount of either spell damage you get from your dots, unchanneled spells as well, or the amount of healing you get from your hots. So they've been made to be more powerful, which is really good as well, because what you can't currently do in Classic at the moment is, if you've got 3 Resto Druids, only one of you, whoever's got the most healing power, is going to get their rejuve on the tank, if you wanted to rejuve your tank and risk them losing their well buffs. But in TBC, or in the pre-patch for TBC, that's removed. So if you've got 20 Druids, you can all put rejuves on the same target, which, you know, that will apply to all hots, you know, renew from priests, life bloom, rejuve, regrowth, just, you know, all hots. So that's very nice, you know. I can't believe that wasn't in from day one, really, because you're basically gimping your lower healing powered healers, but then at the same time it worked out alright because we didn't want to use hots anyway, just because of the awful well buff meta. And then obviously the big stat, the PvP stat, but don't confuse it as just a PvP stat because that would be wrong. So they added resilience, obviously, which was mainly for arenas, well, PvP in general, obviously, but it's actually, you find it on all PvP gear, but you also find it on some PvE gear. Reason for that, obviously, it reduces your chance of being crit and the amount of damage you take from a crit. So obviously, what's the first thing you're going to do as a tank? You want to get crit immune. So as a tank, you know, mixing defense and resilience is actually perfectly viable. And if you're a feral druid, you're probably going to want to get some arena pieces with resilience on anyway, because of the high armor, high stamina, agility, and it gives you resilience, so it's just easy to get crit immune. But obviously, it's predominantly a PvP stat because that's what it's there for. And that, you know, it was added predominantly to stop those going in and just getting bursted down ridiculously fast like you do in Classic today. Now I just want to fly through some of the class changes. So you got to remember, you're all going to get your talent trees changed. You know, you can see them just flashing on the screen, so you can already see what, you know, what end talents you're going to get, like your, you know, elemental for a mage, you know, like your Avenger's Shield as a prop paladin, like I've mentioned already, Crusader Strike if you're Ret, Divine Illumination as holy, you know, just to list the paladin ones, or, you know, if you're a druid, you're going to get Tree of Life, you're going to get Mangle, you know, it's all good stuff, obviously. But, you know, just go and check a TBC talent calculator and you'll see exactly what you're going to get that's new, or check any of my change guide videos, what I've basically done for every class, talking you through all the talent trees and every ability that you get between 60 and 70. Now, a really interesting one, and I think it's very interesting, is the druid gets Omen of Clarity extended to 30 minutes rather than 10. Yeah, alright, it's not very interesting, but it's pretty much the only change outside of talents that druids get. So, as I say, I'm only going to list the important ones. I don't want to sit here and just yarp on about, you know, oh, a coefficient was changed from 15 to 33% and stuff like that, because you can go and look at all that. We're just looking for the key changes. So, for example, a paladin. You know, a paladin now gets they're going to get their taunt. I mean, how amazing is that? Getting a taunt in the pre-patch. So you can already see, you're going to get your Avenger's Shield, you're going to get a taunt. You'll be tanking. You'll probably be tanking raids during the pre-patch. I know some of you will be tanking raids now, but I'm talking you'll be able to tank raids effectively and be really useful, especially because you're going to get all your stamina talents as well. Other classes, so mages, sorry guys, you don't really get a lot other than possibly if the AoE cap comes in, shafted, that's what you're going to get. But obviously you're going to get your water elemental from your talents, and you know, you get a few bits. It's the same as with like paladin, already said, you know, some of the talents become passives, you know, well, not passives, but, you know, abilities that you'll just learn from the trainer. Other ones go into the talents, you know, they swap about a bit, but, you know, you can find all of that out. I don't need to list every minor change. Well, like I say, you can find it out on my class change video series, so feel free to go check those out. A notable one is obviously the paladin getting consecrate, you know, across all three specs, because that's now just a trained ability. So a prop paladin, you know, in the pre-patch is going to get their taunt, consecrate without having to go down into holy. Amazing. It's going to be great fun. Obviously, I'm going to be playing a prop paladin, so it's going to be, I'm looking forward to it. Shamans, largely the same as mages, don't really get anything, but obviously from your talents, you're going to get dual wield now, so you're going to get to play about with dual wield and, you know, double wind fury. Rock biter changes from static attack power to a proc. You know, there's a few very minor things, but nothing that jumps out, you know, not like the whole 20 minutes extra you get on Omen of Clarity. The minor warrior change, so again, I don't want to keep saying the same thing, but other than all your talents shifting around, you're now going to get, your rage basically gets normalized, which what I mean by that is rage generation normalized is like the rage gained is averaged, so it's averaged as an expected rage gain per swing, but based on weapon speed. So it's nice, more reliable rage generation, if you like, more predictable. So, you know, it's not a bad thing. The other thing that changed, obviously, will be the itemization, and what I mean by that, I mean the combat rating system specifically. So today, you know, the way we stand at the moment, you get like Black Hand's Breadth, straight 2% crit trinket. Obviously, all of this is going to shift to crit rating, and obviously the reason they've done that is because otherwise, how do you make a 2% crit trinket better at level 70? You have to make it 3%, don't you, or 4%? You know, and then obviously the crit amount that you're going to have, and haste amount, is all just going to get so big by the time you get to tier 6 that they had to bring in a system where they can still balance it, you know, so that's what they've done with the rating system. So it won't change at 60. Well, it will change. It will change to crit rating, but you will get what it says on the tin, basically. So at the moment, that 2% crit trinket, what I was talking about, will still be 2% crit at 60, but then it will slowly decline as you get to 70, and, you know, there'll be more higher crit rated trinkets, which are obviously going to go after. So it's just a way of not blowing up these stats and having everyone running around with like 70% crit, because obviously that would be ridiculous. Couple of little just notes on professions. Nothing major. There's nothing major with professions, really. I don't think, obviously you're going to get loads of new recipes and access to recipes in TBC, but when it comes to just pre-patch, they've done a couple of nice things. Well, actually they've done one nice thing and one not so nice thing. So the nice thing they've done is basically reduce the cast time on crafted gear. So, you know, you've got those really ridiculously long craft times. Now there's like a max craft time that it can be based on level and superiority. So if it's green, blue, or epic. So you'll see those big, long, horrible, like 1 minute craft times that have come down massively, probably like 20 seconds or something like that. And then the other one that I'm not so keen on, but obviously they've done it for the right reasons, is the change to enchanting. So at the moment, obviously, you can DE everything as a level 1 enchanter just sat at the mailbox in Stormwind or Orgrimmar. That's not the case anymore. So you now actually, it requires a level of enchanting, so skill level, by sort of item level bracket, if that makes sense. So what I mean by that is, like, if you wanted to DE level 55 to 60 gear, you're going to need a skill of 200. And then you'd need a skill of 225 to do 60 to 65 gear. So you can't no longer just be sat at level 1. You know, you need to actually level your enchanting to be able to DE the max item stuff. So, as I say, not an amazing change, but you can see why they've done it. You know, it actually makes the profession more valuable, I would say, because yeah, you've got to level it. You've got no choice. If you want to be an enchanter or you want to DE your own stuff, you've got to get the level requirement. So now, what we'll do is we'll go on to all the bug fixes and all the class concerns, and that should take about 2.5 hours. So, right, so strap yourself. No, I'm only kidding. We're done. I mean, that's just an overview. You know, as I say, I didn't want it super detailed. I wanted you to, whatever class you're playing, you can pick out a few pieces. You know, if I've not mentioned a class, you know, if I've not mentioned rogues or warlocks or whatever class I haven't mentioned, then that just means they didn't get substantial enough changes outside of their talents to be worth mentioning. But obviously, the LFG tool, pretty cool. I like that. I don't like the looking for dungeon tool particularly. Think it ruins the community. But actually being able to look, you know, for people who are listing themselves and decide who you want to, you know, what group you want to join. You might not like the person that you end up getting stuck into with a, you know, the looking for dungeon tool as it is on retail. So this is nice. You know, it's balanced. It's a nice balance between spamming in the looking for group channel and the looking for dungeon tool. And then obviously all the PvP changes, everything that we've already spoke about. If you feel like I've missed anything, obviously put it down in the comments. But if you start commenting about sort of specific items that have changed, like the impending doom offhand with the movement speed, now it drains your health and mana, you know, all those, the little bits that we're not really that fussed about, you know, there's loads of changes, but I wanted to just give you really top level view of what to expect when we get a TBC pre-patch. So like, subscribe, check me out over on Twitch. Peace out.